classical music, spoken word, a cup of coffee, 2 minutes of silence. Community, no dogma. This is what we call the Church of Beethoven. In 2008, Felix Werman, visionary cellist and entrepreneur, united his loves of great music, great spoken word, and fabulous coffee drinks, and created a community called the Church of Beethoven. As freelance musicians, many of us are typically hired to perform background music at church services. It was during one of these services that Felix began to realize that the music he was performing was having the same profound sense of uplifting for the churchgoers as the sermon itself. Felix thought, why not have a Sunday morning gathering where the music is the principal element and not just something on the side? Why not have a Sunday morning gathering where the music is the message? I once sent my resume to the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra and was told I was one of 500 applicants for one violin position. You think the unemployment rate is high in this country? Try talking to a classical musician. Rather than wait around for more jobs, many of us have begun to take matters into our own hands and have begun searching ways to get all of this great music out there. And in this search, we've come up with alternative venues and new ways of presenting concerts. The Church of Beethoven is just such an outpost. Seeking a more relaxed, funkier vibe, we convened in an old gas station in Borellis and then moved into an empty warehouse with great acoustics. Armed with a few willing musicians, a poet, and an old espresso machine, we sought to bring great music and poetry right into the heart of the neighborhood. And something extraordinary happened. We created a community that's based on the arts. We give people an opportunity, a place to come on Sunday morning to greet with their friends and to transcend the everyday through gorgeous, sometimes challenging music and poetry. And hey, what better way to experience transcendence than to be all hopped up on caffeine? Typical classical music concerts take place in medium to large venues, such as this auditorium. This place has great acoustics, but there's one problem. There's so much distance between us. The Church of Beethoven's intimate venue, with its low stage and close proximity between performers and audience, helps us to break down the fourth wall, that invisible yet omnipresent barrier that separates the audience from the performers. The audience feels the perspiration, senses the exaltation, and shares in the energy of the performance. Us performers perform differently as well. When I'm performing there, I often play and I feel like I'm communicating with each individual member of the audience. I often play with more nuance and rhapsody. We keep our program short, 1 hour. This is very important because it allows the individual to become engrossed and engaged in the rich world of a single piece of music or a short segment of poetry. We began this morning, as we usually do at the Church of Beethoven, with a short opening piece. This was Beethoven's String Quartet Opus 18, number 6 in B-flat major. Why did we choose Beethoven as our figurehead? Could it have been his wild, crazy hair? It's because not only was he a maverick, but his music so much has in it a sense of humanity and spirituality. Poetry is a big part of our mornings. We've had an incredible variety of spoken word artists over the years. And one of our very best and most fun is Rich Boucher. He's going to give you a taste of that right now. Rich.
Good morning, Albuquerque. How are you? these lights are really bright, but I am sure that you all look really beautiful. In 1908, Mahatma Gandhi had a busy year, craftily inventing the atomic bomb, the tweezer, and fly fishing. And all because I lost my history book. Look, I don't know what to say, so please don't get offended if reality gets a little bent the way I speak instead of sing in the shower. Listen, in 1785, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart sat upon the zenith of his power, quill in hand, and composed his string quartet number 18 in A major. 218 years later, 50 Cent spent 3 minutes and 13 seconds herding English with a big club, and now I have a headache. This pig, I will take a kava shake with a moment of realization to go, with a hypodermic needle full of Kool-Aid and holistic medicine. Listen. In 1879, Thomas Alva Edison filed his patent for an electric lamp, providing a way for Americans to finally see what the hell their dates looked like. And wouldn't you know it, 128 years later, parents are letting their little brats fly around on those Heeley shoes and crash into me at the supermarket, causing me almost to fall. And when I say, be careful to these children, these parents bark at me like pit bulls on public assistance. It's like some frightening dream shopping. It's like some frightening dream living. Listen, it was in 1881 when Alexander Graham Bell invented the metal detector, unpaving the way for beach enthusiasts across the world to find daggers in the holiday dunes for spare change. Coincidentally, it was in 1985 when I first detected heavy metal and learned to make my first devil sign at Mr. Doerr's back in shop class. These are the miracles the great inventors descend upon us. I must have had too much wine in the sauna, though, because I dreamed and knew intelligent interior design in my head. Because listen, in 1915, Albert Einstein, already famous for his series of cookbooks, published for the first time his theory of evolution, which stated that we all don't come from the Bible. And I know I'm as liable to human error as the next guy, but what about the next guy after him? How would you like it if somebody gave you $100? Listen, in the 23rd century, Robert Fulton went back in forward time, inventing the steamboat in my high school American history. And I can do better than Ezra. I know better than that. Listen, in 0 and no time never, a thought that could have easily been mistaken for God burped and burst into the universe. And then Bill Gates stood on a pyramid of iPods and made infinity proprietary. And this is a huge hassle for Aztec support because listen, in 1900 when we met, you invented a happiness I'd never seen before. And I had to laugh at Isaac Newton for inventing basketball and yoga. Listen, when I was born, I invented the sound of myself crying. And when I think of you and I and what we had and what I did, I find I'm just as good at tears now as I was back then. Listen, in the next 10 minutes, all I'm asking is somebody please invent some words I can hear and know that I've been living for a reason. Please.
Beautiful. Awesome, Rich. Thank you. Ludwig van Beethoven, towards the end of his life, focused his efforts on string quartet writing. And with that came one of his most incredible creations, the Cavatina movement from Opus 130. Beethoven struggled so much in his life. And in this, we hear an endless melody of Beethoven longing for relief and peace. Thank you. There's something very special about the piece that you just heard. It occupies the final cut on the golden record that was sent out on the Voyager spacecraft in 1977, which, by the way, I think has now finally left our solar system. That NASA chose this music to represent humanity speaks so highly of the music and highly of music itself. The music truly now transcends the earth, and I wonder what some aliens might think when they get it. From three seemingly unrelated things, poetry, music, coffee, a whole community has been created, and the effect has been energizing. And it's not over yet. We would like to leave you with the American tradition known as the road trip. We'd like to perform for you the final movement of John Adams' road movies, an amazing musical romp for four-wheel drive violin and piano. And as Felix used to say, it must never not be fun. Connor Hannock.